Welcome back, everyone. This is Spectral Force doing the intro for Wise Heroes Part 2 from the Vault, which is Part 1 from the Vault because there's only one vault so far. We are at a non-disclosed nacho house waiting on our worst nachos to come over to the table. With me tonight is Robert D., Harlan Reaver, and Bro Barian. The usual.
Yo.
The Four Horsemen return.
So before we start diving into the Wise Heroes, do we have any news on the Evil Genius front that anybody would like to share?
Well, we closed out the first annual Nacho Con line last weekend. And it was I would label it a success. We had a lot of great panels. We had games going. And everything went actually relatively smooth. So I got to say, it was well done.
What
It was a lot of fun.
What was the attendance like? I know it's the first time around. I know first-time conventions are always a little rough with attendance and getting the word out and whatnot, but about how many players or people do we have show up for the panels and the gaming? Do we know?
It was up and down depending on which panel and which day, but we only organized the con in about 4 weeks from conception to opening day. So it was
Impressive.
relatively light. But for an online con, it's the first one of its of the Evil Genius Games volunteer run con. It was not too bad.
Yeah, I had a few minutes. I popped in on one of the panels briefly as I was driving just to check that out. It seems they were well done. From what I can tell, I do want to go back and listen to the other ones. Where are they posted at, Harlan?
So they are on YouTube on Edward's personal. But on our YouTube channel, I have linked one of them. I can go ahead and link the rest of them.
That'd be great.
In the community section of our YouTube channel so that everyone can get to them easily. But they should be posted up on a couple different places as well. Evil Genius Facebook, the Organized Play Facebook. They'll be around, so we'll make sure to get them out there.
Yeah, I was able to help out a bit with the Game Master side. I was able to fill in for one of the GMs who had a little bit of computer trouble running the Kong Fool's Errand CA, the one-shot. I'd actually run that before at Origins once upon a time, and at this past Gen Con, so I filled in. It was one of the midnight to 4 a.m. slots. It was a small group, but great players, a lot of fun, and they had a great time. And I did too.
Oh, that
Then I
sounds
got to
very
sleep.
good. Yes, I assume that those players were on the European side.
One, I believe one was in Australia.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I neglected to ask what the other one was.
Well, we know the Australian was from the future. He was coming back to the future. They're 12 to 14 hours ahead of our Eastern time zone.
Back to the future.
Maybe that's a new IP.
Yeah,
That
about
would
that,
be an
Dave.
awesome Everyday Hero CA.
I thought the Return of the Living Dead panel was probably the best one that I've watched so far. It was cool to hear that Everyday Heroes almost got The Walking Dead. That they sat down with the people. I want to say it was with like Kirkman's people, and they were getting all the paperwork drafted and all up and ready. And then they found out that AMC licensed out the Walking Dead show license to the other company, and they're like,
Smart.
we can't do it.
Oh.
And so, yeah, last minute had to back out. But
Ooh,
yeah,
internal
apparently-
miscommunication. Ooh.
yeah, but turns out Nick Lowe was already kind of working on a zombie game privately, and then he wanted to get it out and running, and so he came to Evil Genius, and then they secured the license to the Return of the Living Dead, which of course then opened up so much more to it, and now you can travel around with a zombie and an exoskeleton that you can kind of control. They
Ooh.
work as like a sidekick, special
That's
weapons to fight the
Okay.
zombies. And I think he said that you can even make a zombie campaign where you're the zombies trying to trap humans. So
Yeah, I
Well, that's a
did.
twist.
I did
Yeah.
catch some of that, that panel, and I do remember saying there was some kind of zombie origin that you could play a zombie as a PC. So not even necessarily just catching humans, but as a PC, you can be like brains.
Or have kind of a warm hearts Nicholas Holt moment.
And I'm going to be honest here, I would rather have Return of the Living Dead as the IP than the other one, just because the other one I think was it just became so repetitive. I dropped out at like season 7, episode 2. Like I never went past
That's
there.
pretty
and I'm
far
like,
in.
It is, but I just got tired of it. I'm like,
I dropped out after season 3.
this is like the same stuff over
I don't
and
think
over
I made it
again.
to 3.
Like I was really enjoying the storyline and everything, and then one day I'm watching this, and I'm like, this is just too repetitive. Like there's nothing new they're bringing to the table to keep my interest.
It's one of the downsides of creating a fictional setting where there's only a single unnatural, supernatural, paranatural variant or issue without something to cause a change or introduce some new element or concept or even a new type of weaponry. It can get stale pretty quick.
I was more thinking it's like, okay, we go here. Oh, look, there's bad guys. We defeat the bad guys. Okay, we're here. Now there's new bad guys that roll up. Okay, we're going to leave and go somewhere else. And then you keep running into the same situation over and over.
And at a certain point, weren't there episodes where there were almost no zombies at all in a zombie-focused IP?
Yes.
That felt weird to me. It's just, the thing that I liked about the stuff that I saw from that was like the survival mode, the hunting zombies and the escaping things.
Right. I would like to see more of that. Since we're on the topic of zombie apocalypse, there's a book series that's starts. It's like an 8 or 9 book series, and the first one is called Dead South because the character's last name is South. It's a very good series. The author's last name is Bohannon. I can't remember his first name, but you can find it on Amazon. If you have Kindle Unlimited, you can read it for free. But it was a very good, like I said, 8 or 9 book series of the zombie apocalypse. There's a new one coming out, I think, in May called Dead North, which is I don't know if it's in the same zombie apocalypse of the world. I imagine it would be, but now it follows a new character. So I'm looking forward to that coming out. Since we're on the subject of zombies anyway, I figured I'd share that.
Cool.
As getting back on topic, other EGG news, Evil Genius Game news, is they finally launched Sidekick.
Yes,
Now,
indeed.
For
Got my
you,
subscription.
so did I. I went
Yep,
for the yearly
same.
for the $48. Otherwise, you could do $5 per month. For those listening who are not familiar with Sidekick, we have mentioned it before. Albeit I don't think we had the Sidekick name, but this is their version of like D&D Beyond. It's a digital platform. You subscribe for $5 a month or $48 a year. You are getting access just with the subscription to the core rulebook, the vault, and the armory when it comes out with your subscription. Unlike
Nice.
D&D Beyond, where you would have to buy those equivalent books.
Yeah, I'm still
The back
mixed
to
about
film.
the D&D Beyond about that.
It's all about making money. I understand. I do believe you get the SRD stuff with D&D Beyond. I could be wrong. I only
You
paid
do.
for 1 year before the whole blow up with the licensing. Now I leech off one of my friends because he gets he pays for the DM version. I'm like, all right, cool. But yeah, Sidekicks out. Also, every month you get 2 tickets, approximately $5 in value in each to buy the digital products. Right now they are boasting 61 products available through Sidekick.
Yeah, it's everything from ego one shots to I think they've also got a bunch of the snackables that have been released over on the Patreon are available for like 1 ticket each or $5.
Yeah, most of the content I believe I looked at all the ego assignments. I think the plots are on there too. They're all one ticket. So they're all like five, equal to $5. It's 5 hours or one ticket. Intergalactic Heroes beta is on there. I think that's free with the subscription as well.
Correct.
And if you sign up before February 28th, they will give you 2 extra tickets for free. So not only do you get your 2 for subscribing, normally for the month, you get an extra 2. So you start out with 4 tickets. So that's a $20 in value. Now, if there was a book that you wanted, like, say, The Vault or the Core Rules that wasn't included, then you could put that towards that book, or you can save up to enough tickets to buy the book outright with your subscription. So you're getting $120 a year with your subscription in tickets, because your 2 tickets, basically $10 a month for 12 months for $48. Plus, Core Rulebook, The Vault, Intergalactic Heroes Beta, and the Armory when it comes out with your subscription. I mean, these guys are really offering
That's value.
lot for the value of $48 a year or $5 a month if you can't swing the annual fee of $48 at one time.
Agreed.
So, I have not purchased anything besides what came with it so far. I'm kind of like saving my tickets up. Because of being minion level or actually it used to be minion level, it's not agent. What did we change it over to for the organized play, the ranking?
Did we go from Minion to Moo?
No.
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 I'm racking my brain here.
We went to good
Operatives,
things.
directors,
Operatives.
agents.
Okay,
Yeah.
operative sounds right.
Yeah, operative, it was the equivalent to minion. So I get all the ego PDFs for free through the Evil Genius Game website. So I just get the PDFs and I print them out.
That's exactly what I do. I love a hard copy.
Right. I have my tablet as backup if I need it, but I had Lee from the Discord, Lee Anderson. He has done some of the maps for ego. And I was going to run assignment 9 this last weekend, staying last, but I only had 2 of my players show up. One didn't show up because of the playoff game on Sunday. Go Birds. And they destroyed the Washington Commanders. And another player had a death in the family, so he couldn't make it. So I rescheduled that for February. Lee, in the meantime, however, had taken his one map that he had made. There's 2 maps in that adventure, and broke it down into battle map size for me so I can print it on 9 pieces of paper and put it together.
Oh, wow.
So he did that before for me so we can use minis.
Sweet.
Or at least representation. So I need to talk to Eric and see who the other artists were and see if I can reach out and see if they can do this for their maps as well. So I can print the bigger maps for everything and then just keep them in my folders. I actually have like a 2-inch 3-ring binder. Each assignment or plot has its own folder. I have the pre-gens at 1st and 3rd level printed in a folder, and I have blank character sheets in another folder. When season 2 comes out, I'm probably gonna have to get a new binder just for the season 2 stuff.
You are well prepared and organized, sir.
Well, I like to be organized whenever I can.
Nicely done.
So, if you're out there listening, you can sign up for Sidekick for free also. You just don't get the added benefits of the core rule book. I do believe you get the SRD version.
Yeah.
With the free, but if you pay with the paid subscription, you get the full version of the book. So,
there is a character builder in the works
coming
as part of Sidekicks.
Yes, the character builder.
Really, TBD.
Right, and then they're also adding squads. I think that's what they've said they're called, squads. You can have, I believe, with the paid subscription, 3 squads, but up to, I think it's like 8 people per squad. So, like D&D Beyond, you'd be able to share your books with your group. So if you have multiple groups, You know, you can have 3 different squads or 2 different squads and share your resources with them so it can be used at the table as well. Or if they
That's
need to
brilliant.
level up their character in between adventures or stuff like that. So if you
Loving
can
this.
afford it, I would check out the Sidekick. I find for $48 a year, it is worth it, especially when new content starts coming out, like Night of the Living Dead CA. I'm sure will be on there when that releases. I mean, you'll have to buy that one, but you know, not too big of a deal. You put your tickets towards it. Save your tickets, people. Put it towards the new CA. You know, and then we'll have Intergalactic Heroes, the full version. You know, Everyday Arcana will be on their releases. Military Heroes, all their books are more than likely going to be on there. So value is only going to grow at $48 a year. I mean, you know, I'm not getting paid to promote this. I just think it's a great product and I see the potential in it.
Likewise.
So, now that we've taken up your time with the ongoing news that we have so far, unless anybody has anything else to add, then I'll kick over to Commander.
Lead on, Commander.
All right. So the reason I chose this one, is because I have a favorite commander. His name is John Hannibal Smith.
Yes.
And I believe he fits this role. So, for Commander, Wise Hero in the Vault, you have survived many combat engagements, and you are entrusted with the responsibility of leading others. Your long and hard-earned experience in combat has made you wise in the ways of war. Now, they were always escaping Lieutenant Colonel Decker. Fighting alongside your team, you do all you can to keep them out of trouble and to get them back to their families when the fighting is done. The commander is a capable and well-rounded combatant. They're able to support their allies while still contributing to the fight. Since most of their supportive talents do not require actions in combat, Commander is a good class to choose if you're looking for a hero who balances their own combat abilities with supporting their team. So the Commander is a support role. Let's see, for proficiencies, saving throws, we have Con and Wiz, which makes sense. It's a Wise Hero. You choose 3 skills from Acrobatics, Athletics, Endurance, Insight, Intimidation, Perception, Persuasion, Social Sciences, Stealth, Survival, and Vehicle. That's quite a list.
Indeed.
Equipment is basic, advanced, and military. And equipment recommendations, military officer pack, and a submachine gun. You know, get that MP5 SD. On to our commander's talents. First level, we have Courage Under Fire, Focused Fire, and Wise Words. At third, we have Experience, Get the Let Out, Suck It Up. I like Suck It Up, just the name of it. At 5, like some of the other combat-focused heroes, we have Advanced Combat Training. At 7, we have Improved Focus Fire, and that was close. And at 9, Not on My Watch. Now, let's see what they do here. Courage Under Fire. You and any allies that can see or hear you have advantage on saving throws to avoid or remove the frightened condition. Focus Fire. When you hit an opponent with a ranged attack, you can spend 1 focus to give advantage on the next ranged attack against that opponent made by an ally. That's pretty cool. Wise Words. You can substitute your Wisdom modifier for Charisma Intimidation and Charisma Persuasion checks.
Nice.
Get the Let Out. You can spend 1 focus at the beginning of your turn to give you and all team members that you can see or hear you plus 10 movement speed until the beginning of your next turn. Experienced. You ignore 1 source of disadvantage on each attack roll that you make. That's pretty good, especially for a level 3 ability. Suck It Up. You can spend 1 focus to allow you or an ally that you can see or hear you to reroll a failed saving throw. You can do this only once for a given saving throw. Advanced Combat Training, we know. You get a second attack action. Level 7 for Improved Focus Fire. If you hit an opponent with a ranged attack, you can spend 2 focus to give advantage to range attack rolls made by any of your allies against the target until the start of your next turn.
Whoa.
That's pretty good too. You know, you got
Teamwork.
You got one big baddie, maybe a big zombie from, Return of the Living Dead that you need to take down. You focus fire on that. Make Swiss cheese out of them pretty quick. That was close. You can spend a reaction and one focus when you or an ally is hit by an attack, but before damage is rolled. Increase the target's defense by your wisdom modifier until the beginning of the target's next turn. If the target's modified defense is now higher than the attacker's attack roll result, the attack misses.
Whoa, that's insane.
And that's a reaction.
Dang.
And last but certainly not least, not on my watch, when one of your allies is about to be reduced to 0 hit points, you can spend your reaction and one focus to have them be reduced to 1 hit point instead. That's pretty good because then you don't have to make an armor save. So
that's pretty awesome.
I'm liking this commander. I don't know if I was playing a military-esque focused campaign, I might go with the commander. And then what do we have next up in the list here? We have
Bonded Twins.
Bonded Twins under the extraordinary classes. And
That's right.
so take it away for the Bonded Twins.
One of my personal favorite classes here is the Bonded Twins. Whether through intentional science, mutation, or accident, you are two people whose minds have been merged into a single consciousness. You are effectively one person living inside two bodies, which you control with perfect coordination. The Bonded Twins are perfectly in sync, acting as a single character. They can take advantage of their two bodies to team up on their enemies, and their mental connection allows them to communicate information between themselves instantly and silently. This class for me reaches back to our very first, I believe it was our very first, maybe our second episode where we each brought character build to the pod and talked about it a little bit.
Yep.
And what is very fun about this class is anyone who has played D&D or any other tabletop role-playing game has likely at one point made a character that was in fact two characters or three kobolds in a trench coat, something of that nature. Now, luckily for Everyday Heroes, they actually have a class that is just that. You get the benefit of playing a character that is two characters, and it's built out in a way that makes it much easier to manage, and it is less confusing for the other players at your table. So, starting out with proficiencies, they get wisdom and intelligence for their saving throws. For skills, you choose 2 from acrobatics, athletics, endurance, insight, intimidation, investigation, perception, performance, sleight of hand, and stealth. With your equipment, you just get the basic equipment. I'm a big fan of having more equipment allowances, but you can always work on that later. So the equipment recommendations, it always recommends 2. So 2 everyday packs or 2 fitness packs, but sharing 1 vehicle. Weapons, 2 heavy revolvers, 2 large wooden clubs, any of your combo weapons. So as far as their talents, so at level 1, you're going to get bonded, coordination, and discordant separation. So for those of you who know the cinematic adventures well, this comes from the Pacific Rim cinematic adventure, which makes sense because it takes not 1, but 2 people to pilot a Jaeger, and they use something called the drift, which allows them to meld consciousness. And obviously in the vault here, what we do is we strip away all the cinematic elements and make them setting agnostic. So bonded at level 1, you are actually 2 people who share a mental connection so powerful that you function as a single individual in 2 bodies. Your bodies share their game statistics, their hit points, their turn, and their actions, in addition to their thoughts, knowledge, opinions, and personalities. Each twin can carry as much equipment as one person would normally be able to. During combat or chase, you roll initiative once for both of your bodies. During your turn, both of your bodies can move as normal, but they must share actions, bonus actions, and reactions with the following exceptions. Now, pay very close attention so that you don't miss out on each of your turns. So here are the exceptions to sharing all of your actions and bonus actions and reactions. So the exceptions being is when you take the dash, disengage, or dodge action, both of your bodies can take that action. When you take an action to break out of a grapple or escape an effect, both of your bodies can take that action. When you take an action or bonus action to reload a weapon, both of your bodies can take that action. When you take the dive cover reaction, both of your bodies can perform that reaction, and you can make offhand attacks with a weapon that your other body is holding instead of a weapon in your other hand. If you do, the weapons used need not be light, but they cannot have the heavy and two-handed properties. So that just levels our playing field for when you're playing two characters as a single one. Doesn't mean that they don't have their strong suits. If an effect deals damage to both of your bodies at the same time, you take that damage only once. If the effect allows for a saving throw to take less damage, you roll the save only once. If the effect is physical in nature, the saving throw is made at disadvantage. If a non-damaging physical effect calls for a saving throw affects both of your bodies, you make a separate saving throw for each body individually, and each body uses its own result. If a non-damaging mental effect that calls for a saving throw affects both of your bodies, you make only a single saving throw, and both your bodies use that same result. So that may seem a little wordy and a little complicated, but in the rulebook here, they throw you a handful of examples. I won't go too deep into that because, it's fairly easy to understand. So also at level 1, you get coordination. By coordinating your movements, you can take advantage of your two-bodied nature in the following ways. When you make an attack, if both your bodies are in range and capable of making that attack, you can spend a focus to make that attack at advantage. Make the attack only once, but any ammunition must be spent by both bodies. If the attack is a special attack that calls for an ability check, such as a grapple or shove, you gain advantage on that ability check instead. When you make an ability check, if both of your bodies could participate, you can spend one focus to gain advantage on that roll. When you make a saving throw against a mental effect or any effect that targets both of your bodies, you can spend one focus to gain advantage on that roll. Lastly, on level 1, discordant separation. Now, this is important to remember. Too much distance disrupts the connection between your minds. While your bodies are farther than 100 feet from each other, you suffer disadvantage on all ability checks, attack rolls, and saving throws. Now, being 100 feet from each other in a combat scenario is usually pretty unlikely when you're at the table, but, you find yourself separated by whatever means. One of your bonded twins gets kidnapped and whisked away. You're going to be fighting an uphill battle. So at level 3, you get improved coordination. When an opportunity attack is provoked from both of your bodies by the same source, you can spend a focus to allow each of your bodies to make a separate opportunity attack. So this is where your two bodies really come into a major advantage. By the simple fact that chances are your bonded twins are always going to be relatively close to each other. Mm-hmm. If they're in a position where an attack of opportunity is imposed, you now get to make 2 attacks. Very rare without any other talent or ability that you're able to make multiple opportunity attacks, but this is your first big advantage to having 2 bodies instead of. So at level 5, you get advanced twin combat. Once during each of your turns, you take the attack action. Each of your bodies can make an attack instead of just one of them. So this is a little bit like the multi-attack, except you get to divvy out those attacks from separate locations because, again, you have 2 bodies. Why not take advantage of it? Level 7, you pick up Double Trouble. Whenever you take a bonus action, you can spend a focus to allow both of your bodies to take that bonus action. If it is an offhand attack, both of your bodies can use your bonded talent to make an attack with a non-light weapon, including one used in the initial attack. So now you're starting to stack attacks like crazy. And then finally, at level 9, Supreme Twin Combat. You can add your ability modifier to damage when making an offhand attack. Much like 2-weapon fighting in 5th edition, you need that feature, not just that fighting style, to be able to apply your ability modifier to your damage with your offhanded weapon. You stack that with your Advanced Twin Combat, as well as your Double Trouble ability at level 7. You are laying a ton of damage from 2 separate sources on 2 locations in combat.
Ooh, battlefield control.
To me, what I've always looked at this Bonded Twins class is more of a fun. They're functionally extremely strong, and they allow for a lot of interesting tactics in combat. But for me, like the big benefit of this class is the amount of RP opportunities that it spawns. To sort of have that duo that is constantly in sync, sort of reading their own minds and being able to operate as such, being able to play two characters at once, sort of against each other, but all from your side of the table. It's a really fun class, and I love that Everyday Heroes kind of gives us this option with the mechanics to match as well. It doesn't make it an overwhelming thing to be running two characters. It's just like, let's slam all of your stats together. You share them as one, but you're able to separate them out on the battlefield. It doesn't just seem like a reskinning. It actually does feel like you get these two bodies and you really get to utilize them in and out of combat. So that is my take on the Bonded Twins, which, if I am not mistaken, brings us next to the Chosen.
Yes.
Woohoo!
Well, the Reborn.
Reborn, rebranded.
Yeah. So we have the Reborn. So this is out of the Crow cinematic supplement. Hopefully you got your hands on your copy since it is no longer in publication. So make sure you get one today. You are not truly alive, yet you walk the world once more. You have been returned to the world of the living by a spirit of death to fulfill a purpose. Right or wrong, or take your vengeance. The spirit accompanies you on your quest, granting you its gifts to accomplish your task. Only when your mission is complete can you finally rest. The Reborn is extremely difficult to put down, unable to truly die as long as their spirit ally is unharmed. They reduce the damage they take and recover quickly from injuries, so long as they have their focus to spend. They also have a variety of additional superpowers based on their spirit. At early levels, they have to carefully decide how to spend their focus, while at higher levels, they can wield their many powers much more freely. At level 1, they have the Spirit Bond, Reborn Body, Vanish. At 3, Deathly Vigor. At level 5, Advanced Combat Training. At 7, Greater Deathly Vigor. And at level 9, Improved Bond. Their saving throws are Strength and Wisdom. Their skills are none, but because it's based on which spirit you take. And their equipment is Basic Equipment, Advanced Equipment, and Historical Equipment. And their recommendations are Artist Pack, an Everyday Pack, or a Punk Pack. And their weapons are 2 Brass Knuckles, 2 Concealed Carry Pistols, a Pump Action Rifle, or Shotgun, a Sword Cane, and or 2-handed sword. So choosing your death, here's a specialty thing. When you create a Reborn, you must determine the circumstances of your death, as well as the quest your spirit has given you. And you should work with your GM when coming up with these story elements, but the content of your backstory is ultimately your own choice. In the films, a great deal of terrible things happen to the characters, usually including potential sexual assaults. But when building your character, you decide what happened to them and their loved ones, and you don't need to include anything in which you're uncomfortable. So for their talents, the Spirit Bond. You were returned to the world of the living by a spirit of death to right or wrong or complete an unfinished task. Select one of the spirits listed for the Reborn. The spirit takes on physical form and accompanies you as an NPC controlled by the GM. The spirit does not speak, but it can make simple concepts known to you, and it can share its senses with you. You and your chosen spirit have a mystical bond that grants you supernatural abilities. This bond is powered by your emotional attachment to the land of the living. These emotional needs drive you to undertake a quest. You gain the bond benefits associated with your spirit, as well as the bond powers associated with that spirit, but you will lose those benefits and powers if the bond with your spirit is broken. Your bond can be broken in the following ways. You complete the quest, which is obviously, you just finish doing what you're doing. You abandon your spirit's quest. You act in a manner in direct opposition to the spirit's nature. The spirit drops to 0 hit points or dies. The spirit is farther than 1 mile away from you. Once broken, the bond can be reestablished if the conditions that broke the bond are reversed. If, at the GM's discretion, a new quest is offered to you by your spirit, or if you've properly atoned for acting in opposition to the spirit, you may instead be offered a quest by a different spirit, replacing your chosen spirit, as well as the benefits and the powers granted to you. So if you're familiar with the TV show, that's one of the ways that they continued on Eric Draven's quest is, it was, he had to continue on avenging more wrongs in order for him to finally be able to cross that gap. So, and for anybody who's ever out there who's seen it, you might have to yo-ho that
Love the
TV
show.
show. It's not
Love
available
it.
on anything. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah, you have to find it on like Wayback Machine Archive type places. It's really difficult to find.
Yeah, sadly. And
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen it on DVD or Blu-ray or anything. So, Reborn Body, granted at level 1, though animate, you are not truly alive. You count as a monster, undead, instead of a person. But you appear mostly alive. Your heart doesn't beat, and you're cold to the touch, but your body is restored from injury, rot, and decay, leaving you with only scars from the wounds that ended your life. You do not age. You do not need to breathe, eat, drink, or sleep, and you are immune to all illness and to poison damage. You cannot become sickened, and you cannot gain levels of exhaustion or intoxication. You cannot die, and you do not make death saving throws. Finally, you have all of the reborn powers listed below, and if your spirit bond is broken, you lose access to your death's power, feel nothing, and regeneration powers. And you can die making death saving throws as normal. In addition, while your bond is broken, you can become sickened and gain levels of exhaustion and intoxication, and then you gain level 1 of exhaustion every hour until you die as your body rots. Vanish, granted also at level 1. So long as you are not in combat and there are no enemies present, you can choose to disappear mysteriously. Allies and bystanders look away for just that moment, and you're gone. You must leave the area, but by doing so, leaves no tracks or trace as to where you've gone, and you cannot be followed or intercepted. Exactly how this is accomplished, only you and your bonded spirit know. This does not allow you to travel any faster than normal. It just only lets you get away mysteriously. Batman is very, very well known for doing something like that.
Yes, he is.
Gordon just happens to look down to light up his cigarette, and Batman's is like miles away already.
In the comics, he's even done that to Superman. Despite the guy's abilities, he can disappear in any situation. It's very Batman.
It's awesome. Deathly Vigor. When you are taking long rest, you recover all of your spent hit dice instead of half. Advanced combat training. So once during your turn, you can make an additional attack action. And the Greater Deathly Vigor is after you finish a short rest, you can recover up to 2 spent hit dice, whether you spent them during their rest or earlier. And Improved Bond, you gain an additional benefit determined by your spirit, and you lose access to this benefit if your spirit of your chosen is broken, or like the bond is broken. All right, so Reborn powers. These powers are available to all Reborn as long as their spirit bond is not broken. You have Death's Power. As a bonus action, you can spend 1 focus to use your Wisdom modifier in place of your choice of either Strength or Dexterity for the next hour. This applies to all uses of the modifier, including ability checks, attack rolls, damage rolls, and saving throws. Feeling nothing. As a bonus action, you can spend 1 focus to gain damage reduction of 10 against all types at the beginning of your next turn. Regeneration. Once during your turn, you can spend 1 focus to spend 1 hit die to regain hit points. Roll your hit die and then add your Constitution modifier to the result. This takes no action, and you can use this power even if you are unconscious, allowing you to take your turn as normal regaining these hit points. So both of those are, well, especially for the Feel Nothing, man. I mean, if you need an example, just go to the tabletop fight scene where he just lands, and then Top Dollar tells all those gang members just to light him up, and he's just sitting there taking all the bullets.
Then he does the little Looney Tunes dance off.
Yep. He's regenerating and feeling nothing all at the same time for that. It's awesome. And so share experience. As an action, you can spend one focus to sharing the experience another person has had in their past, as if you were the one experiencing it. This takes only a few seconds, even if the experience itself was originally much longer. In order to use this power, you must either touch the person's eyes. They can be closed. I would hope you would put your, if you like the person, let them close their eyes first, or touch an object that was or is important to that person. If you touch a person's eyes, you can name a specific experience to share in, or you can choose to take the most intensely emotional experience the person has had in their life. If you touch an object, you view the most intensely emotional experience a person had concerning or near that object. Alternatively, as an action, you can spend one focus to gain an experience you had or acquired from someone else using this power to another willing person by touching their eyes. After using this power, you are stunned until the end of your next turn due to the overwhelming shock of such concentrated emotion. If you share the experience with another willing person, they are also stunned until the end of your next turn. So this was the earliest example is when Eric is going through the box of rings and he's trying to find Shelly's, and he's closing his eyes and he's just going through, and then all of a sudden he gets that flash, which is really that was a touching
Powerful
scene.
moment. Very powerful.
Force experience. As a special attack, you can spend one focus to force an experience you had or have acquired from someone else with your shared experience power into the mind of an unwilling person within 5 feet of you. Make an opposed strength or dexterity check on your target's choice of either strength or dexterity. Check. If you win, you touch the target's eyes and they have the experience. They take 1d10 plus your wisdom modifier in psychic damage and must make a wisdom saving throw with a DC of 8 plus your wisdom plus your proficiency bonus. On a failed save, the target is stunned until the end of your next turn. We go into the next section of the Masks of Death. The reborn return to life often brings with it a compulsion to wear a mask of death. This might be a literal mask, a face paint, makeup, or a supernatural change in their facial features. It may even be, or it may even come from scars that they received at the time of their death. Whatever it is, its composition, the mask represents the reborn's connection to the realm of the dead. When you create a reborn, consider this as designing their mask of death. You don't need one to play a reborn, but they're thematic and they add a lot of drama to the class. And death masks are vary in style, but each type of death spirit has a certain features or motifs that often appear, such as like the butterfly. Butterfly masks tend to have intricate symmetrical patterns. They might even be bright, colorful, glittering, and gleaming, and mostly black with white designs. And physical butterfly masks are typically masquerade style. You can even think Mardi Gras, type masks. And now, where's the cat? Cats usually have an eerie innocence to them with large eyes or other doll-like features. They can be any color, but they're usually muted or desaturated, if not just black and white. Physical masks tend to be cartoonish or doll-like. Now, of course, the crow, which is the most popular one, typically are black and white, often wear including tears or faux smiles or similar motifs of sadness. The crow masks tend to resemble theater masks, tragedy and comedy, or a combination of both. The Mastiff masks, which you can buy a Mastiff mask on evilgenius.com shop. They emphasize the mouth, extending it down and and adding drawn on fangs. Physical Mastiff masks are usually bandanas that cover the mouth with a fang pattern. The Moth, which I think was my wife's favorite one, the Moth masks emphasize the eyes greatly, usually causing them to appear much larger than what they really are. The physical Moth masks tend to be simple, usually covering only the eyes. The Owl masks are usually quite literal, making the Reborn's face appear to be more like that of an owl. Physical owl masks usually have long noses that look like beaks, such as a Plague Doctor mask. The Snake masks tend to make the face look more like a skull, with some combination of large painted eye sockets or blackened noses and tooth patterns, and the skull-themed masks are otherwise common to physical snake masks. And finally, the Spider. The Spider masks involve intricate patterns, often in the form of spider webs, and physical spider masks are mostly featureless and sometimes web patterns, or entirely blank, or they're just red with big white eyes and black webbing, and as you swing around New York. So, we go through here. Oh my gosh, there's so many spirits. I'm going to just kind of, I'm not going to read the whole thing because, I feel like this would be better off for a Crow episode, actually going through, and because it's much more built into it, if you guys don't mind.
No, not a problem. Do you want to take a look at how it at how those basic concepts and elements of that class got translated into the vault?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have the vault book, so I'm not really sure how they got translated in there. So, yeah,
well, I can help you out with that actually if you want. Just
okay.
Yeah, but so what you stated, the proficiency is identical. The specific things that are to the Crow, such as the unliving body, such as the spirit, some of the elements of the spirit bond thing, and the whole sharing an experience or forcing one on people, that's out because of when the IP finished out and we no longer had the license. Evil Genius had to tweak a few things so that you still had the core elements, like what you said about regeneration, what you said about regaining hit die on the regular, and the divine protection and the protection and power for spending focus to use your wisdom instead of strength, or to give yourself damage reduction and all that. All that's still there. It just got rebranded as divine gift and chosen body instead of unliving body. You're still immune to sickness, to sickened, exhaustion, or intoxicated. And in the place of the spirits, you have a set of gifts, and mechanically the gifts are identical to the spirits. You have the same number. It's the exact same powers and abilities and skill proficiencies, because you get your skill proficiencies from your spirit there. But they take the spirit of death element out of it, and because you're not undead, you're not a revenant, there's not that element of if you somehow abandon your spirit companion, you lose all of your abilities. But you still have, like, the spider, I believe, translated into fate, like a gift of fate, the serpent into a gift of hatred, the mastiff into a gift of the hunter, the moth into the gift of foresight, the butterfly into the gift of grace, the owl into the gift of knowledge, the crow into the gift of justice, and the cat into the gift of shadow.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's like the vault gives you the same bare bones of abilities, just without the specific undead, undying spiritual element. It's still very spiritual. You're still something of a paladin. You could definitely see someone like Buffy Summers as a chosen one, sort of literal chosen one.
See, that's why it pays to have both. To have both the cinematics and the vault, because there's always those slight differences.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, I think I think we'll save the actual, like, the descriptors, the souls, the quests, the natures, and the example stuff out of the actual cinematic ones separately. Now, please, go ahead and please step in, and because I'm going to continue to read from the Crow book here. I'm going to go through with some of their benefits, but let me know where it's different from the vault itself.
Oh, absolutely. Well, like I said, once you get into the specific spirits and what the spirit bond gives them at first level, and then how that spirit bond improves at 9th level, it'll be mechanically identical for 99.9999%. It'll just be a little bit of rewording to match that it's not a crow return from the dead thing in the Chosen. But yeah, so I think your first up's going to be the cat, right?
Butterfly.
Oh, the butterfly. That's right.
Yeah. So the butterfly. The
right,
butterfly
that's
has.
going to be the gift of grace in the vault there for folks that have their vault copy at home.
Okay. Yep. So they get Splendor out of the Crow book. So they gain proficiency in the following of the 3: Deception, Performance, Persuasion, or Intimidation. They have improved butterfly bond benefits, Serene Radiance. When you use your Serenity power, you can affect any number of targets you can see or hear. And then going down, you have Charming Presence. When you fail a Charisma check, you can spend 1 focus to reroll that check. And this can be done once per ability check. Glamour. As an action, you can spend 1 focus to alter your appearance, including that of your equipment, for the next 10 minutes, and you can seem up to 1 foot shorter or 1 foot taller. You can appear thin, fat, or anywhere in between, and you must you remain generally humanoid in shape. Otherwise, the extent of the disguise is up to you. However, this effect is merely an illusion and does not hold up to physical inspection. For example, if you use this power to add a hat to your outfit, objects can pass through the hat, and anyone who touches it would feel nothing, and you would feel, you just feel their head, their head and their hair. If you use this power to appear thinner than you are, the hand of someone who reaches out to touch you will bump into you, as seemingly is still in midair. Serenity. As a bonus action, you can spend 1 focus to attempt to calm the emotions of one person who can see you by looking into their eyes. The target must make a wisdom saving throw of a DC of 8 plus your wisdom modifier plus your proficiency bonus. If the target fails the saving throw, its emotions are calmed for the next 10 minutes. And while its emotions are calm, the target does not act out of anger or fear or any other intense emotion. If the target is frightened, the condition ends. The power does not change the target's non-emotional motivations, and how the target now acts is up to the GM. The effect ends if the target is attacked or harmed, or if it witnesses any of its allies being attacked or harmed. And Sweet Nectar. As an action, you can spend 1 focus to bestow the life-giving nectar of your butterfly spirit upon 1 ally you touch. That ally can spend 1 hit die to regain hit points, adding your wisdom modifier to the result instead of their constitution. An affected ally cannot benefit from its powers again until they finish a short rest or a long rest, and you cannot use this power on yourself.
And for the folks at home, mechanically identical, but that particular power is called Healing Grace for the Gift of Grace powers in the vault. Just again, mechanically identical, just a little bit of the fluff was the mood setting stuff was changed is all.
Yeah. Now, as for the cat, you said this was the Shadows.
Oh, yes.
Which is pretty prominent there. So Cat Burglar, Cat Burglar, you gain proficiency in 2 of the following skills of your choice: acrobatics, security, or stealth. In addition, you do not treat climbing as a difficult movement. Thief in the Night, once during each of your turns, you can use your Shadow Walk power by spending 5 feet of movement instead of an action. This does not cost you any focus to do.
I love that so much. That is a beautiful 9th level improvement. I love it.
Yeah. Because, we'll get down into Shadow Walk. So to let everybody know what Shadow Walking is, as an action, while you're in dim light or in darkness, you can spend 1 focus to move to the other location in the dim light or darkness that you are aware within 60 feet. So you spend 5 feet and you can immediately just be on the other end of a shadow, a long, long shadow. That's really cool. D&D has something like that. I think it was like in the ninja class. I want to say
the Wave Shadows monk, or now a Shadow Warrior monk if you get the 2024. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. You can step into a shadow and you're already on the other side. It's a cool ability for sure. So you also have Cat's Grace. When you fail dexterity check, you can spend 1 focus to re-roll it. And they can only be done once per ability check. And Cat's Claws, as a bonus action, you can spend 1 focus to grow claws from your hand. For the next hour, you can use a 1d8 instead of the normal die damage for your unarmed attack, and these claws are retractable, allowing you to hide them and hold objects normally. And then you have Hide in Plain Sight. You can spend 1 focus to vanish from the eyes of all those around you, allowing you to take the hide action, even if you have nowhere to hide at all. As long as you do not move, you can continue to treat your position as a hiding place for up to 1 hour. But once you move, you become unhidden at the end of your turn, unless you end that turn somewhere else that you would normally hide.
And yet, again, the only thing that changed throughout any of that was just it was Dark Grace instead of Cat's Grace, and there was a little extra line added in the clause called Claws of Darkness in this case, where for the Chosen, it describes the claws as made out of solid darkness.
That's cool. Whoa.
But it's pretty metal. I like it.
Yeah, I like it too. So, moving on to the Crow, which is also the Justice.
Absolutely.
On Wings of Darkness, you gain the following proficiencies and 2 of the skills: Acrobatics, Perception, or Stealth. In addition, you gain damage reduction 15 against falling damage. Let's see.
Very cinematic.
The bond powers that you get is Crow's Form. As an action, you can spend 1 focus to transform yourself and any equipment you're carrying into the form of a crow for up to 10 minutes. You retain your proficiencies, your talents, your current hit points, and hit dice, as well as your intelligence, wisdom, and charisma modifiers. Otherwise, you use the stat block of the Crow Spirit instead of your own, and if you and your new form share proficiency, use the higher bonus. You can choose to end the effect early as an action. So what would that be in the Vault?
Well, it's referred to as Bird's Form. It doesn't specify crow, but it suggests you can use the stat block of a bird of prey from the Everyday Heroes core rulebook instead of your own, as opposed to a specific crow stat block.
That's cool.
Yeah, so it's the same thing as that whole tone of righting wrongs and bringing justice to the unjust. It's still very much threatened. On the Wings of Darkness, by the way, had no wording changes whatsoever.
All right. Sweet. So you could be a bald eagle.
Yeah, I'm talking full on bald eagle. Yes.
Yeah.
Conclave, Sam Eagle, the Muppet.
And Justice Be Done. As a bonus action, you can spend 1 focus to swear to bring justice to 1 enemy that you see. The next time you hit that target with an attack, you deal an additional 2d6 damage. You cannot use this power again until you have successfully hit your target, or 1 minute passes, whichever comes first. Purify. As an action, you touch a willing or helpless person, or one you have grappled, and you can spend 1 focus to rid them of foreign substances. This removes any poison or drug in their system, ending the intoxicated or sickened condition, as well as any other effects of that substance. And Swift Punishment. When an enemy deals damage to one of your allies that's within 30 feet of you, even if that damage was prevented, you can spend 1 focus as a reaction to gain advantage on your next attack roll against that enemy before the end of your turn.
Score.
And at level 9, until it's set right, as an action, you can steal yourself and focus on what must be done. You regain all of your spent focus points. You cannot do this again until you finish a long rest.
Nice.
Oh boy, Mastiff.
That'd be the Gift of the Hunter over here in the Vault.
Yep. Man, I picked the long one. Dogged Run.
This one's almost a. This one is one of the times where we see almost a subclass within the subclass sort of situation. It's very modular, very customizable based on what exactly the tone of Reborn or Chosen you want is going to be. You want to do the more Eric Draven style. I mean, the Crow / Gift of Justice is right there for you. You want something a little more on the almost cleric or healing side of things. You have the Butterfly or the Gift of Grace. You got a lot of variation here.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Man, yeah, there's a lot to unpack with it too. So we got with the Gift of the Hunter or the Mastiff, depending on which one you are going with. You gain the proficiencies in athletics and endurance. In addition, your movement speed increases to 35 feet. You gain Bloodhound. As an action, you can spend 1 focus to gain the tracking abilities of a hound. For the next hour, you have advantage on ability checks made to track, follow, locate, or notice anyone, and this includes asking for information about a person's whereabouts. Interpose. As a bonus action, you can spend 1 focus to protect 1 ally within 5 feet of you until the start of your next turn, as long as you're within 5 feet of that ally, and you can choose to make yourself the target of any attack made against them, or targeted effect that targets them and does not also target you. Pack Bond. As an action, you can touch the eyes of a willing ally and spend 1 focus to mystically bond them to you. For the next 8 hours, you each always know where each other are into relation to you, and you each know the general physical and emotional state of each other. You can end this effect early as an action, and there is no limit to the number of allies you can share a pack bond with. And Pack Hunting. As a bonus action, you can spend 1 focus to move up to your speed. Then choose 1 ally that can see or hear you. The ally can spend their reaction to move up to their speed. Afterward, whether or not your ally moved, the movement speed of an enemy that is within 5 feet of the both of you is reduced to 0 until the end of your next turn. During a foot chase, you and that ally instead gain advantage on strength, agility, or strength checks until the start of your next turn. And at level 9, Pack Tactics, allies gain advantage on attack rolls against enemies that are within 5 feet of you. You do not provide cover to the enemy from your allies, and your allies do not provide cover to the enemies from you. Moving on, we got to the Moth. You gain proficiencies into the following skills. You have Insight, Intimidation, Perception. In addition, you cannot be surprised. They get Doom. As an action, you can spend 1 focus to doom 1 enemy that you see and that can see you, and when you do, you can choose 1. Attacks against the target have advantage until the end of your next turn. The target has disadvantage on saving throws until the end of your next turn. The target has disadvantage on ability checks until the end of your next turn. You have Forewarning. As a bonus action, you can spend 1 focus to warn an ally that can hear you of any danger that they're in. Until the start of your next turn, the ally gains advantage on dexterity saving throws, and attacks against them have disadvantage. A Moth's Flight. As an action, you can spend 1 focus to sprout giant moth wings, giving yourself a fly speed of 30 feet, and the wings last for 10 minutes or until you end the action. And Terrifying Portent. As an action, you can spend 1 focus to become a beacon of warning. Each enemy that can see you must make a wisdom saving throw that's equal to 8 plus wisdom plus proficiency, or be frightened of you until the end of your next turn. Enemies frightened in this way cannot willingly move closer to you. And finally, at level 9, Foresight. When you miss an attack or fail a saving throw, you can reroll that attack or save. You can use this talent once per round, resetting at the start of each of your turns. Moving on, we've got the Owl.
Well, just quick thing right there. That this moth is called the Gift of Foresight in the vault, and ironically, because it was called Foresight, the 9th level thing for the moth, it's called Prediction in the Foresight gift. But just wanted to, just in case anybody that was reading the vault. No worries.
No problem. The Owl, you said that was knowledge, right?
That is correct. Yep.
Okay. All right. So Owl's Wisdom. At level 1, you gain the proficiencies in the following 3 skills, which is Perception, Investigation, Social Sciences, Stealth, or Streetwise. You have the Owl's Knowledge. When you fail an intelligence check, you can spend 1 focus to reroll that check. This can only be done once per ability. Owl's Screech. As an action, you can spend 1 focus to let out a deafening screech that only your enemies can hear. Each enemy within 120 feet that can hear you must make a Constitution saving throw that's 8 plus Wisdom plus proficiency, or be deafened and sickened until the end of your next turn. An Owl's Sight. As a bonus action, you can spend 1 focus to gain keen sight of an owl. For the next hour, you have night vision, and you get advantage on all Wisdom perception checks based on sight. In Sage Advice, you can spend 1 focus to take the help action as a bonus action. If you do, you can help up to 2 different allies that are within 120 feet away, as long as they can hear you. And finally, whatever it takes, you gain an additional 4 maximum focus. That's a lot.
That it is. That it is. Now, again, some of the titles got altered a bit, but mechanically, nothing was changed. Like, for example, that last one is called True Knowledge in the Knowledge Gift. And the initial benefit is called the Wisdom of the Ages. Things like that, and like Keen Sight for the night vision, and Sage Advice for the 1 focus to help as a bonus action. But yeah, mechanically, no changes. Very thematic and very focused on having a lot of knowledge and a lot of focus to work with.
Right on. All right, folks, we are almost there.
We're
almost there. Almost there.
God.
Just bear with me.
Cue Princess and the Frog song. Woohoo!
God, I know. Snake Bonds benefit cold-blooded. You gain proficiency in 2 of the following skills. That would be athletics, intimidation, or stealth. In addition, you cannot be frightened. You have Insight Rage. As an action, you can spend 1 focus to bring forth the anger within one person that you can see, and that can see you. The target must make a Wisdom saving throw of 8 plus Wisdom plus proficiency. On a failed save, the target is distracted for 1 minute. While distracted in this way, a target must spend its action to make at least 1 attack against a combatant during each of its turns, and it must move into range to do so if necessary. It can choose who to attack, but must attack an ally or bystander if it cannot move within range of an enemy. If there is no target available, the target must take the dash action, moving toward at least 1 combatant. The target can repeat the saving throw at each of its turns, ending the effect upon a success. You got Save. When an enemy deals damage to you, even if that damage was prevented, you can spend 1 focus to become enraged by that enemy. When you do, you gain advantage on your next attack rolls against the enemy before the end of your next turn. This bonus is lost if you use this power again. The Snake form. As an action, you can spend 1 focus to transform yourself and any equipment you're carrying into the form of a Viper for up to 10 minutes, and you retain your proficiencies, talents, current hit points, blah, blah, blah. Otherwise, you use the stat block for, whatever animal that's in there. If you and your new form share proficiency, use the higher bonus, of course. You can choose to end the effects. It's basically the same as all the previous ones. Viper Strike. As a bonus action, you can spend 1 focus to make an attack. And at level 9, Limitless Vengeance, you recover 1 spent focus whenever you kill an enemy.
And again, this is the Gift of Hatred in the vault, and mechanically, absolutely no changes. Mm-hmm. I think the only thing that was changed name-wise was Wrathful Strike instead of Viper Strike. But yeah, it's like you said, the Viper form is identical to what was done with the bird of prey form or the crow form.
Yeah. I think it was just. I think the only other difference was. No, there was no difference because I think it was all intelligence, wisdom, and charisma. So basically, all the soft stats.
Right. You are mentally and spiritually who you are. It's just the body that's altered. Yeah.
Right. So finally, Spider. The last one of them all. The Spider Bond benefits. You gain proficiency in the 3 of the following skills of your choice. You have Deception, Insight, Security, Sleight of Hand, or Stealth. You gain the following. You got Conjure Webs. As an action, you can spend 1 focus to create a 5-foot square web of sticky spider silk centered on a point you can see within 30 feet. The web must be anchored between 2 solid masses, such as walls or a doorway, or layered across the floor, wall, or ceiling, and it lasts up to 1 minute, but it disappears if you use this power again. Each combatant that starts its turn in the web's area, or that enters it during its turn, they must make a dexterity saving throw. That, of course, is let's say it with me, 8 plus wisdom modifier plus proficiency. On a save throw, on a failed save, the combatant is restrained until it breaks free. A combatant restrained by the web can use its action to make a strength check against the same DC. If it succeeds, it's no longer restrained. Poison Sting. As a bonus action, you can spend 1 focus to cause a spider to appear on an enemy that you see within 60 feet of you and to poison them. The target must succeed on a, again, DC 8 plus wisdom modifier plus proficiency constitution saving throw, or be sickened for 1 minute. While sickened in this way, the target suffers 3 points of poison or 1d6 damage. At the start of each of its turn, the target can repeat the save at the end of each of its turn, ending the effects upon a success. Read the strands. As an action, you can spend 1 focus and touch a willing or helpless person's eyes to read the strands of fate that surround them. When you do, you can ask the GM one of the following questions, which they will have to answer truthfully. Who shares a strong bond with this person? Who has a strong enmity towards this person? Who does this person bear a strong enmity towards? And what place is most important to this person? For up to 24 hours after using this power, you have advantage on the next ability check you make to locate the person or place included in the answer as you follow the subtle strands of fate. And you can use this power on an unwilling target, but to do so, you must make opposing strength or dex checks. Sorry, that's my alarm. Let me know I'm going to go to work here soon. If you touch the target's eyes and read their strands. A spider cling, as an action, you can spend 1 focus to imbue yourself with climbing ability of a spider. For the next hour, you can climb difficult surfaces, including upside down on ceilings, without needing to make an ability check. And at level 9, when an enemy succeeds on a saving throw, you can spend your reaction to cause that saving throw to fail instead. You can only use this talent on any given target once before you finish a long rest.
Woo!
Oh my god!
And the gift of faith. The gift of fate. No changes whatsoever, and boy was it challenging not to use that to make an instant Peter Parker situation.
Yeah, I know.
It's just that it's a more mystical feel than the science vibe you usually get.
Yeah.
And I think that if there's still time for it, that leaves one last wise hero in the vault, which is the Mutant Psychic.
Yes. Is this
All
our
right.
last hero?
No, we have
Subclass?
This is the last wise hero, but we have
Charming heroes.
the charming heroes, and there are quite a number of those in the core book as well as in the vault. So we have at least 2, if not 3 more episodes as far as the classes go, and that doesn't even count the stuff that's been released in the snackables like the Wise Miracle Worker or the Smart Agent.
Oh
Or
man, I say
the-
we do once we do the charisma heroes, we put this to rest. Doing all these archetypes, I'm over
Right.
it.
But we've got a bunch of CAs to cover and franchises yet to go. I mean, we've only really done episodes on the films of the Crow, and we've gone through the Rambo CA, but we have as yet to go through a Crow CA or any of the other CAs really in depth.
Yeah, that'll be nice.
But on that note, the Mutant Psychic originally showed up in the Total Recall CA, and this is making full use of the mutations mechanics from that CA that are also found in their full extent in the vault. Effectively, you're a mutant that, because of your mutations, have telepathic abilities. This allows you to tap into the minds of others and let your insight give you the ability to tap into the thoughts and memories of those around you. This makes you an uncanny, mystical figure, inspiring fear in your enemies and reverence in your allies. Mutant psychics are seers with the ability to access the minds of others. They are masters of social interaction, not because of inherent charm, but because they can simply pull answers from those with whom they interact. In combat, they can use their enemies' fears against them, keeping foes at bay while their allies dish out punishment. Right there, that's just a massive Jean Grey, Professor X, Scarlet Witch from the MCU Infinity Saga sections, all wrapped up into one, and I love it. In fact, I believe when I did my Wanda Maximoff build for Infinity Saga MCU, I used this as the base class for her. All right, so for saves, they have saving throw proficiencies in Wisdom, naturally, and Charisma, which again makes perfect sense for emotional and telepathic manipulations. They get to choose 2 skills from the following list: arts and crafts, deception, endurance, insight, intimidation, medicine, perception, persuasion, performance, and streetwise. And they are proficient only with basic equipment. Now, I know that we actually did discuss this in a previous class tonight with the bonded twins, but it seems like the classes that tend to have only base equipment are the ones that tend to more than make up for it with their special abilities along the way. And at first level, you get 3 talents right off the bat. And one of these talents is effectively a free mutation, a major beneficial mutation. Now, we will be diving into the mechanics of these specific things from the Vault or CAs later, but just so people at home know what a great bargain this is, a major mutation is a major feat. If you try to get a major mutation after starting Origin and first level, you get the major mutation empathic reading at first level from the get-go. And just briefly to sum up what that does is you can use an action to read one person's emotional state within 30 feet of you. This gives you advantage on charisma checks if you play on that emotion in roleplay. It also lets you learn one other fact about the target that they know but do not consider a secret or privileged information. You can only learn one such fact per individual. Oh, sorry, let me rephrase. You can only learn one such fact per individual every 24 hours, even though you can read their emotions any number of times you like. Right off the bat, great mutant power, great ability, and pretty good bang for your buck in terms of how you could get it otherwise. In addition to this, you get dark depths. By looking into the depths of someone's psyche, you can force them to confront their darkest parts of themselves. This takes an action in which you choose a person within 60 feet of you that you can see, and that target needs to make a wisdom save with a DC equal to, shall we say it together? 8 plus your wisdom modifier and your proficiency bonus. On a failed save, the target takes 1d8 plus your wisdom modifier psychic damage, which ignores armor. That means if this drops someone to 0, there's no armor save. It just drops them, psychic blast nosebleed style. In addition, by the way, as I said here, this is just an action. It takes no resource other than spending an action to do it. This does not cost you focus. But you can spend 1 focus when you do this to add something to the effect. You could conjure a terrifying memory. Again, all of these cost 1 focus to add on. This makes the target frightened until the end of your next turn, and while frightened, it cannot willingly move towards you. Or you could make the target see a phantom enemy or several phantom enemies all around it. This gives them the distracted condition, and all attack rolls made against them have advantage until the end of your next turn. Finally, you could, instead of either of those options, spend 1 focus to make the target dizzy, making them fall prone. Until the end of your next turn, they must spend all of their movement instead of half to stand up because of how dang distracted and disoriented they are. Now, the damage that this talent deals increases as you gain level in the class, and there's a chart over here. At first level, it's 1d8 plus wisdom. At 5th level, this goes up to 2d8 plus wisdom. At 9th level, this is 3d8 plus wisdom. So in this very first talent, if you follow through all the way to level 10 here, a single action lets you deal 3 dice worth of psychic damage that ignores armor, and you get to add your wisdom modifier to the damage, just as you would add strength or dex to a weapon. This is pretty awesome. And then lastly, at first level, you get the Mind Sight talent, which says that whenever you use your empathic reading mutation, which, again, just like Dark Depths, that empathic mutation doesn't cost you any resources to use besides saying, hey, I'm using my action to do this. You can spend a focus to amp up what your empathic reading does, letting you either read the target's surface thoughts for 1 minute or until you use the talent again if the target's in 30 feet of you. And by the way, while reading your target's thoughts in this way, you hear the words it thinks and see the images it imagines. Full-on mind meld. Alternatively, you could look deeply into the target's mind. Now, the target is aware if you do this, and they can choose to resist by making the same wisdom saving throw that they would make against the Dark Depths. That's DC, wisdom save, DC 8 plus wisdom mod plus proficiency bonus. If they fail to save, you can ask 1 question and the GM must answer honestly based on what the target could reasonably know. Or, the third option here you could unlock one memory that the target has repressed or that has been erased by another telepathic ability or advanced technological procedure. Now, that's going to be a direct nudge and reference to a charming hero class the Mind Doctor will get to later. And this is all just level 1. At level 3, you get Psychic Growth. This lets you choose another major beneficial mutation. Again, this is the equivalent of a free major feat. And you can choose from the following options. Animal Communication, just like it sounds. Blind Sense, which, again, we'll go over all these in more depth when we talk about mutation mechanics and Total Recall. But Blind Sense is effectively being Matt Murdock, the Daredevil. You can perceive things around you without as you ignore the blinded condition, basically, within a certain distance. Hypnotizing Eyes, and this is effectively a sort of a snake charmer situation where as long as you can maintain eye contact, you can use your action just to paralyze that. It is deadly. Multispectral Vision, this really amps up your sensory perception to see in infrared, in ultraviolet. It's really, really intense. Precognition, just like it sounds, you cannot be surprised. It eliminates that your ability to be surprised at all. It's that spidey sense sort of situation. And then there's Telekinesis, which is just like it sounds. You can effectively use your intelligence, wisdom, or charisma instead of strength to move something at a distance from you. And that includes a living thing or target. Or Telepathy, which gives you a direct ability to speak with multiple targets in your mind silently, great for stealth missions. Or Twin Minds. You effectively have two separate brains, consciousnesses, or identities, and that because of that extra interference, you've got advantage on saving throws on things that could mess with your head or your emotions. Again, we're just at level 3. Level 5, you get two things. One is Deep Fright, which says that when you use your Dark Depth talent and spend focus, you can spend focus to choose an additional option. Now, I read that as it doesn't say that you have to spend additional focus. It says that when you spend one focus, instead of choosing one option, you can have two options active at once, terrifying them and knocking them prone. That's how I'm reading that. I could be wrong, and I would gladly accept any clarification that was out there. The second thing you get at level 5 is Deep Sight. When you use your Mind Sight talent, you can choose two of the options, or choose to look deeply into the target's mind twice. So again, at level 5, you're getting a lot more bang for your buck in terms of fuel economy and really great class talent options. Now, level 7, you get Psychic Evolution, and this is another major beneficial mutation selection. It's the same list as before. You get another one. This class, effectively counting empathic mutation, you get 3 free major beneficial mutations by the time you're level 7 out of this class, without spending any of your even level feat choices on it. And then finally, we get to the capstone, level 9's True Understanding. You deeply understand those whose minds you touch, allowing you to combat them calculatedly. You can use your empathic reading mutation as a bonus action now. Originally, and at any other time you would get this through a feat, it has to be an action, but you can use it as a bonus action. Anyone who has failed a saving throw against your Mind Sight talent, which remember, that's done as part of your empathic mutation action, now bonus action. Anyone that's failed their Mind Sight saving throw against you in the last hour has disadvantage on attack rolls and opposed ability checks made against you, as well as on intelligence, wisdom, or charisma saves against your mutant psychic class talents and your mutations. In addition, you have advantage on attack rolls against them just for a little cherry on top of this sundae. I'm telling you, Wanda Maximoff, Jean Grey, and Charles Xavier all wrapped up in one very, very terrifying package. And that concludes our wise hero classes in the vault.
Thank God for brevity.
What can we say? Evil Genius really outdid themselves with the various character classes in the CAs and the vaults. I mean, the core rules already have great stuff, but they really went above and beyond in making all these amazing new options in the additional books. And on that note, I cannot wait to see the final forms of what we're going to get in Intergalactic Heroes or Everyday Arcana.
I know. I can't wait.
And I think that closes us out. Who wants to bring the house down, metaphorically speaking?
I mean, I can finish it up since I opened it, unless one of you guys wants to do it.
Dizzy from being out of breath. Go ahead.
That was a big class.
It was long. It was large. It was huge. It was huge.
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 Gargantuan even.
I mean, man, we finished like 8 plates of nachos by the time just for you to get through that.
I'm halfway through my plate of spaghetti.
Yeah. But he still has his mini balls to eat. So with that, we finished up Wise Heroes. You know who's a very wise guy? You guys know who I'm talking about.
Eric Roberts.
Of course. Eric Roberts is a wise guy. He picks wise roles to play. Because, we always have to mention our favorite actor.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, he could have probably used a little bit more for that Karate Christmas movie.
Yeah. Hey, sometimes you need a paycheck.
Yeah.
Just like Andrew Dice Clay says, hey, the little boy Blue, he needed the money.
That's a good one, too. I forgot about that joke.
So, from our secret Nacho House location that changes every time we broadcast or when you listen, we are multidimensional beings here. We will say goodbye to the Wise Heroes. And next episode, we will start with the Charming Heroes from the Court Rulebook.
Very suave.
Yes.
I'm seeing a Hawkeye Pierce in my future, maybe. Who knows? So with that, we will bid you all a good day, good evening, good morning. I don't know when you're listening to this. We're not spying on you.
And Happy Lunar New Year.
Happy Lunar New Year.
for my canine brethren that are out there. So with that, we will bid you good night.
Good night, everybody.
Get the hell out.
Good night, everybody.